Right. All right. All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another live stream. But it's been a while. It's been a while. Everything's a little different. Camera angle's a little different. It's because I'm in a new place and the area is not officially set up yet. So we're gonna change some things over time. But how's everyone doing? What's up? What's up? Clemente, how you doing? All right. Dude, what's up, Random? What's up, Cartel? How you doing? Oh man. Okay. How is the audio coming in? Is it clean? Is it sound okay? That's like my biggest concern. We're just getting all those things set up. So I have like some soundproofing coming to like hopefully have it not so echoey. Yeah. What's up, Matt, dude? What's up, Mr. White? How's it going? How's it going? Yeah. Hey, what's up, Cat? What's up? Man. So it feels good to be back. It's been a long time. If anybody has any questions, all that good stuff, you guys can always ask me a bunch of stuff, not just ZBrush related stuff, but just life in general. You guys can always ask questions and stuff like that. It's been a long time just because life and things and all that jazz. But we're good. We're back. We're ready to do this. Yep, sounds good. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, great. So you can see here, actually have a little sphere up. Yeah, let's do this. Let's get some audio. And by audio, I mean some music. So let me know if you guys are able to hear the music. If it's too loud, counting on you guys to help me fine tune this. Yeah, it's been a long time. So yeah, I don't even know where to start with that, but I'm so glad to be back. Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. Okay, so without further ado, what are we doing? Well, we're going to start with a rose, but check this out. So I actually have a kind of a new little passion of mine where I want to get into some tattooing at some point. So nice little fun little hobby to do. So here's what I thought today. We're going to use ZBrush to make a design, and then maybe later then I'll actually attempt to do it, because I actually bought a tattoo machine and I want to learn. It's just I'm a guy of hobbies. I'm a man of many hobbies. So this is what we're going to be focusing on today, but I thought we would actually build the rose first. So we're going to use ZBrush, obviously, probably a ZRemesh, and we're going to go ahead and do something like that. So I'm going to put this reference off over here just so I can see it. Let's do this. Let's make that full screen, and then let's dust off the rustiness here, and let's just put the chat where I can see it. Hey, what's up, Sheriff? All right, levels are good. Perfect. Yeah, so that's what we're doing today. And you could tell that I'm moving, that I'm doing stuff, because I need to find my ZBrush glove. You guys know that ZBrush glove is a must, but I don't have it right now, so we're gonna have to do without today. Right. And let's make sure we have the chat up. Perfect. Good morning. What's up, Brian? How you doing? So let's go ahead and do this. All right, perfect. Cool. So we're going to start by making the rose petal. I feel like that's actually the best place to start here. What's up, Britt? It's been decades, Sheriff. It sure has, man. Okay, so we're going to actually go ahead and just focus on the rose petal here. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start with Knifecurve. And we're just going to literally clip off some stuff and things. Actually, I didn't even need to clip off that back one. Why, you might ask? Because we're actually rose petals are thin, right? They're super thin, and because of that, we want to just deal with single-sided geometry. I feel like that's the best way to go. So we're just gonna go to our modified topology, and we're just gonna delete hidden here, and then we're gonna ZRemesh this. So let's do this. Let's go to ZRemesh. You guys don't know my magical settings, and I got magical. It's just what I do. Definitely need a new camera position because my hand keeps getting in the way, so I apologize. I'll be a little aware of it for this stream. but we're gonna go adaptive size down to 0, smooth groups turned on, but smooth groups down to 0, just because we want nice clean topology throughout all of it. And we won't get that topology if, you know, we'll get clean topology, but we want even quads throughout the whole thing. And this is pretty low res, so this shouldn't even fight us on this. Boom, look at that. All right, super simple. And obviously we're working symmetrical. So let's just drop this down a few times. And how low can we go? That should be low enough. Now from here, obviously we're just gonna use our Move Infinite brush. We're gonna shape some of these petals. Now we're gonna stick with one petal shape because we're gonna then use a ZRemesh to kind of put this in a circular pattern. And then we'll modify each one to make it unique on its own. Are you on a big Cintiq? I'm actually on a 24-inch Sense Labs tablet. I actually really like this tablet. I was fortunate enough to be one of the first individuals to actually test this tablet. And in the beginning, it felt like a really good competitor for Cintiq. I love Cintiq and I love Sense Labs. They're both really, really good. So yeah, but I stuck with the Sense Lab. It really just grew on me. I really like it. So yeah, this is one of my my new favorite toys, and I love it. Okay. So here we're gonna we're just gonna kind of get like a basic petal shape. We don't need to go crazy with this. Like, it's not rocket science here, but I will stretch it out just a little bit. Kind of going a little bit wider, and I'm just kind of focused on like what that shape might be. And then I'm going to relax the geometry. So if you guys don't know, if you hold shift and just start smoothing, and then you let go shift, you do a relax smooth. And that relax smooth helps keep the topology nice and even. Okay. Well, we fiddled around with that enough. We now know we have our base petal. We're going to go ahead and just duplicate this so we can save as. And there's some fun stuff. Let's actually do this. Let's go 2 terabytes. Ooh, let's put up a new folder. We'll call this ZB Live Streams. And this one is going to be a Dagger Rose tattoo design. This will be fun. I am actually getting back into drawing as well, so that's going to be pretty cool. So we'll call this Dagger Rose. Now, I usually stream for about 3 hours, but today I have to stream for about 2 because I have some meetings I have to get to because I will be at GDC. If you guys are going to GDC, please let me know. Also, if you're going to GDC and you use ZBrush and you like the demo at our booth, can you let me know too? Like, you can email me. What up, Leonard? What's going on? Jason, let's do it. What's up, Yoga? Hey, Rafi, how you doing, bud? How you doing? Toy Maker Andrew, yo. What's up, dude? What's up, Ezzo? How you doing, man? Good evening, good evening. Yo, the crew's all here. Ah, love you guys. Okay, cool. Just making sure you guys know me. I like to stay caught up. Okay, so now here's gonna be the fun part. We're going to get the base petals, and then I'm going to create another petal for the inside because the inside is a little bit more compressed. It depends on how much you want to actually blossom the rose. So like if I were to show you guys like this one here on the inside, usually the petals come in and they're like getting tighter and tighter, right? But if the rose is like perfectly bloomed, then there may not be a you know, the inside could be a little looser. So, you know, and of course, what's cool about flowers, the same thing that's cool about people. They're all different. They're all unique, even if they're the exact same, you know, type of flower. So, and of course, illustrated, we can get pretty cool with this. So I really like that. So we're going to start with kind of the outer, and then we'll move into some of the inner petals. And we'll just kind of see what we get. So now, what's fun here is that we can combine some features. So we can first turn on dynamic subdivision. So dynamic subdivision, obviously, it's just gonna, kind of quote round things out a little bit. But here's where I really want to do things. I actually want to apply a little bit of a thickness. And the reason why I want that thickness, that's too much of a thickness. Too much. The reason why I want that thickness is so that I could see both sides, right? But when I turn off dynamic, boom, thickness gone. I can even just turn off the smoothing on this if I just want to see the thickness, or we can do like a smoother one. So let's do a smoother one. I think that'd be pretty cool. Segments or whatever. Now let's turn on array mesh. Okay, so here's the thing. Actually, before we turn on array mesh, let's do ourselves a favor, turn ourselves out of perspective, turn off symmetry, and send this bad boy perfectly center home. And we'll keep symmetry turned off for now. Hey Wong Art, how you doing? Blood Rapture. Sorry, if this is off topic, but I had a ZModeler question. How can I delete an edge without killing the faces around it? Also, can I delete a selected portion of the edge loop? Ooh, that's a great question. So yeah, there's a lot you could do there. Actually, let's do this. I can show you right now. So the first thing with any ZModeler question, I want you to kind of like understand that the better your topology, the better your flow of the topology, the easier things could be for everything. Dude, Rodolfo Silva's in the house. Everybody, you guys got to say hi. Obviously, he's an amazing artist. Obviously, he's also a ZBrush trainer. Obviously, you guys should say hi. What's up, Rodolfo? So here, obviously, and I've just said obviously a lot. When we hit the space bar, we have these different actions. So with insert, we have multiple edge loops, etc., etc. When I hold Alt and delete, it's going to delete the entire complete edge loop. All right, and that's going to be kind of the thing that you want to remember on that. Now, again, you come down to the bottom, there's not a whole lot of options to specifically just grab a portion of that loop and then, of course, delete it. So what happens if I go to delete? Well, now delete edge actions gives us some more options. So before, if you're just an insert and you press and hold Alt, it's just going to delete that whole thing. But again, let's come over to delete. Now we have some more options. So can I delete just an edge? Absolutely, I could delete just that edge. But of course, too, now if your geometry is going to end up breaking, it's going to delete that portion of it. So see, as I'm hitting those different loops here, and that's because we want to try to make sure that we're allowing you to have, everything that is supported stay supported. And once you break that support, the whole model just starts breaking, right? So here you're able to just click that one little spot. Now, what happens if I say partial? Okay, so if I come here, I'm floating on that and I just click. Okay, well, hold on one second. Over here, partial. As I just click it. Ooh, actually, hold on. My fat fingers might be doing a thing. Yeah, there we go. So here, again, as I hit the partial, this is a complete edge loop. There's no part for it to stop, at this point. So it is deleting that whole thing, which is pretty interesting. Unless that's a bug, which of course, we could always think, because now it's kind of just doing the same thing as complete edge loop. But what happens if I do partial right here? There you go. See, so now every time I control Z, it goes back to dynamic. So here, let me do this. There we go. Okay. So when I hit this edge loop, now it's going to go through and delete that portion. But when I'm here on this spot, you see this little spot right here, this corner, where that is an actual partial, that is that edge loop. So here it's going to stop. It won't continue forward. But again, if it can't find a spot for it to stop, it just deletes the whole edge loop. So you do have a few more options. Hopefully that's what you were looking for, but I would say go to delete and then function through here, and that will help you out a lot. The thing is, again, remember, clean topology. That's always going to save you 9 times out of 10. So if you focus on that, you should get some pretty good results. But again, here, edge loop, hover over it, press the spacebar, go to delete. And then from there, if you're just on edge loop and you're just holding the Alt, it's going to delete the whole thing. Okay, great. Now, obviously, let's do our array mesh. So we're going to turn on our array mesh, and then we're going to turn on the transpose, which it's just called the transpose because this feature came out long before the gizmo was even affected, but it's the same difference. And then you can go ahead and do your lock position. Exactly, yeah, or stitch if you want to merge those edge loops. Absolutely, Isa. Or Isa. Hopefully I said that right. So now here, I'm going to want to bloom this rose. So here I'm going to come to, or sorry, not bloom. I'm going to want, well, yeah, bloom it. I'm going to want to rotate. And now, of course, for those of you who don't know, the axis that we want to focus on for the rotation is the y-axis. Why? Because, why? Glad you asked. So X is when you're facing this, when you have your view, your cam view facing you, then X is going to be obviously I can't stop saying it, left to screen right, and then up and down is your Y, and then Z brush, Z depth, Z boop straight. That's going to be back and forth. So we want on our Y, and we're going to go ahead and rotate here on the Y. I'm going to type in 360 degrees. Yes, that is 360 degrees. And as you can see here, now we can come in and we could pick however many petals that we want. So how many petals do we want? Even numbers, odd numbers. I prefer odd numbers. So we'll go with 9 right now. So now, check this out. Boom. We can come through here. We can get this kind of effect here. See, we can even rotate some of this around. Kind of have these in. Now, what's fun about this is we can do some really cool things. I want to face this camera exactly down. So if I press and hold shift on the actual, if I press and hold shift on one of the arrows of my gizmo, it's going to face that camera going straight down, which is pretty cool. So now I can turn that gizmo off. I know I'm facing directly down the barrel of that. And then I can use my move infinite to start getting some of this. Now this is the outside as I'm starting it, but maybe we'll actually focus on the inside first. Now I'm just going to go ahead and use let's actually go inwards. Maybe 9 is too much for now. So maybe we'll start with 5. Kind of call this out a little bit. We'll get a little bit of a... And funny enough, this will actually be my... I don't know, have I done a rose before? I don't think I've done a rose before, so this will be my first. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna push this back a little bit. We're gonna do some manual sculpting here. Just get some of this. Again, I can do that smooth relax, get some of that settled in. Yeah, say something like that, which is pretty cool. Again, we can affect all of them when we need to, but for right now, this could be pretty cool. Look at the base of that. Because it's fun to be odd. It sure is, man. It sure is. Mind blow. I knew all the shift camera lock, but I didn't know it worked off the gizmo. Yep, absolutely. I got you. I got you. This is like watching magic, but with ZBrush. The method you use for making the spiral. Oh yeah, array mesh is just so perfect for that. It really is. And what's fun about this is now I get to have like a little bit of that kind of sculptural approach to everything. And it just, you know, it all just kind of moves and works the way I want it to. And again, we're still in dynamic at this point. So I'm not really dealing with anything but single-sided geometry, which is going to help keep my mesh nice and clean. I used to feel like I had to rush everything, by the way. Let me be the first to tell you, don't rush a thing. Like, take your time, you know? Like, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. That's true in racing, that's true in life, that's true in art. Is you take your time and you just focus on where you want everything to be, and you're going to have a whole lot of like you're going to have a much better time just getting things where you want it to be. So, just take your time with this. No need to rush. And again, what we're going to do, we're going to leave a little bit of space so we can probably have a tighter center for the petals itself. Yeah, so the thickness, Ariel, great question, is actually for my own visual reference. That is all it is. And what's cool about this is I can actually go into geometry and I can change this at any point in time. So see, I can have them a lot smaller at this point. So just to get the base shape, I'm not worried about how this looks officially. But see here, I could just shorten that down anytime that I need to. That's a good call out. Again, as you're creating and stuff like that, you get to kind of just sit there and do what you need to do. Same thing true. If I needed to just turn a ZRemesh off and just kind of focus on a certain spot, turn it back on, everything updates, which is super cool. So yeah, the pedals would be a sheet. Yep. So that's my client. Faster, faster, faster. Yeah, I know. Trust me. When clients want their stuff ASAP, believe you me, yeah, they need it as soon as possible, which I totally get. But at the same time, you know, you just want to take your time, breathe a little bit. But yeah, no, being under the gun, trust me, I get it. Okay, so here there is a way to go into a ZRemesh and actually append a new one and then have that be within that, you know, within that stack. However, I'm somebody who likes to keep some of these actually pretty separate. You know what I mean? So I try to take things a little bit differently, where I could, you know, just say append new and then add a second stage form, repeat it, etc. The reason why I'm not going to do that is just because it's the way my brain works. I really want to see one part at a time, and I want to have control going back and forth, right? So it's just kind of this is an Ian thing, not a ZBrushy thing. So I'm going to choose to have different sections of this flower be different, and then I'll just merge it all together when I'm satisfied. So like for the exact center of it, right? I'm going to duplicate this guy. Here, let's actually do ourselves a favor, and we'll call this, right now it's a rose. So we can call this center, petals. You know how to spell. Well, if don't judge my spelling. Middle. Probably wrong, but it's okay. I'm an artist, man. I'm an artist. Okay, so we're gonna come here. Now these petals, I want them to be a little bit tighter. So I'm gonna come through. I'm gonna put these up a little bit. These are gonna make the center one. Struggle with a ZRemesh there, Leonard. That's okay, buddy. The way I do it actually, hopefully, will kind of help you out a little bit. So I'm going to have these come a little bit more to a point, kind of like a leaf a little bit, but... And we'll give this a different poly group. Okay, so 0.15. Perfect. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in here, turn this on, and then 0.018. Like that gives me a little bit of thickness. Okay, and then same thing here. Come in, a ZRemesh. We have this in the center, which is great. Okay, turn that on. Turn on our transpose or gizmo. We're going to lock that position. I'm going to rotate on the y-axis 360 degrees. And here we're going to come in a little tighter. That's a lot, but that's okay. Now, same thing. We're gonna come in. I'm just gonna pre-shape this. I want these to be pretty tight. So all I'm doing is just kind of sculpting this. Now, I could have done it that way. How else could I have done it? Let me show you. Actually, another way I could have done this is actually come in here and pulled up a deformer. And we could have easily done, it was in my brain for 2 seconds. Hold on, give me a second. It's been a while. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we could just do the bend curve. Bend curve would be pretty cool. Not bend curve. Hold on, hold on. I want the taper. No, not taper. Ugh. My apologies. I've been... Where was it? Was it taper? It's probably right in front of my face. Give me a second. I could just use a soft deformer. Yeah, I could use a soft deformer for this. There we go. No, that's not the one. All right. Not the twist either. Oh, maybe it is the taper. Anyway, whatever. Okay, well, you know. No. My brain is dead today. I want to get it, though. It's not the curve. Actually, you know what we could do? Let's do this real quick. I'm going to turn off our ZRemesh for a second. And let's actually go back here. Rodolfo's probably screaming at me. He's like, come on, Ian, it's right there. I'm going to point the blue arrow this way for a second because I'm just going to go ahead. Do this bend curve like this. Oh, that's not it. Okay, whatever. No, that's not what I want to do, Rodolfo. Yeah, we're exactly, we're sculptors, not English majors. My gosh. I thought it was taper. Let me see something real quick. No. All right, whatever. Anyway, so Ian failed on this, and then next week or in 5 seconds when I think of it, I'll let you know. I want to bend it, but anyway, I'm losing my brain for the 5 seconds that I'm here today. Okay, it's fine. We'll do it the sculptural way, just because I'm now kind of just annoyed at myself. Anyway. We'll just do it this way. That's the twist, yeah. That's the one. All right. Thank you. MB. My brain is dead today. Anyway. Scale this down. We'll pull this out. Now my mesh is getting kind of gross. We can smooth this a bit. Grab my move brush. Squeeze that in. There we go. And we'll repeat this a few times. There we go. And we'll end up making these a little bit different once we get it in place where we need it to be. And relax, smooth. Jesus. Come in here and let's actually fix this. Let's turn ZRemesh off. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, man. We'll just let the Gizmo deformer slide today. Look here. Get that corrected. Yeah, we'll pull this out now. We'll start to close this up a little bit. Rotate that around. Again, once we get them all kind of separate, things will be kind of cool. Smooth that down. Yeah. You giving me some ideas? We're off we go to the 3D front. Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. Yeah, I have a few fun stuff. Speaking of 3D printer, printing a few things for GDC at the moment, which is pretty cool. Okay, let's bring this in. Again, we can rotate this. And move this around a bit. We're clipping right here, so we want to stop that from happening. There we go. Yeah, no clippy clippies. No clippy clippies. Shrink that down a little bit. There we go. Here, let's see, dynamic. Go down with that. Now, how many do I have on the repeating? I have 9. Maybe we'll do 7. Might be a little bit better. Rotate this around. Clean this pedal up. This pedal's actually, it's fighting me because I'm fighting it. So let's make it look a little bit nicer, because right now it's not doing so well. That's on me. So again, with the dynamic subdivision, right, I'm able to actually really shape this, see both sides, and still be working with single-sided geometry. So here we can actually start pulling this in a bit. Relax that a bit. Get that a little bit nicer. Go. Maybe we'll leave this one open just a touch. And then we'll have maybe like maybe a couple strays in the center to kind of close it off. There we go. That's looking a bit nicer. Sometimes you just got to take a step back too. Flatten that a little bit. Hopefully the camera isn't shaking too much. I'm noticing I'm kind of bobbling everything. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Gurn? How you doing, buddy? See, it's really starting to look like a beautiful rose. Oh, thanks. Thank you. Thank you. When is the next ZBrush update? So that's a great question. So we actually just announced that April we are going to have ZModeler to the ZBrush for iPad. So every there's always like some sort of minor updates that happen because it's subscription. So, no official announcement has happened yet on the desktop version of when that's going to happen. That's going to be soon. Don't want to give away too much too quickly, but if ZModeler is coming out in April, I'm going to leave it at that. And we will be doing, by the way, some ZBrush for iPad streams. So I'm going to be switching back and forth and showcasing some good workflows between ZBrush and ZBrush for iPad. Because if you have the ZBrush subscription, you get ZBrush for iPad, you get ZBrush desktop, and you get the CPU version of Redshift. So you guys get more than just ZBrush desktop. So just FYI. Okay, so now we're going to start kind of pulling these. Pulling these in but out. Kind of finding a happy medium on this, right? So we'll smooth these. There we go. Okay. Now, a lot of the rose petals, they kind of cup. That's what I want to emulate. Like they're blooming out of something. Shrink that down even just a little bit more, right? So they get something a little bit more like that. Yeah, pretty cool. Let's go ahead and save it. Carbon 44444. What's up, buddy? How you doing? What's up, Cat? Yes, yeah, Cat, absolutely. I think it's saying that ZModeler wasn't added to iPad at launch. Okay, so because I read that out loud, Zagel. So what I'll tell you is, so a lot of people don't know this too, but this is how it is. So ZBrush, a lot of people think ZBrush for desktop is a port to ZBrush for iPad, but it's not. It's actually like rewritten, which is pretty cool. So because of that rewrite, a lot of things had to be rebuilt from the ground up and actually made a little bit more sound, a little bit more solid. You know, ZBrush has been around since, like, ZBrush was like created in 1998. SIGGRAPH 2001 made its main debut, and then like UDIMs didn't exist, dude. Like so many things didn't exist when ZBrush came into the scene. So there's a lot of stuff here that, like, ZBrush is a fairly old program, like 25 years at this point. So it's pretty cool, the fact that, like, it's hung around that long on this base code. But now we have a whole team that's like dedicated to improving things, making it go through. When it was Pixelogic, it was a few coders, and, you know, Ofer Olan is a genius, right? So, but at the end of the day, like, you know, it has history. And so that history, now we have more programmers, so there's more people like coming in and actually trying to do improvements, and also trying to make sure that they really push out the best product possible. So because of that, like, yeah, it's pretty insane. Yeah, 27 years. Like, so at the end of the day, when you guys think about it, like, ZBrush has been around for a long time. I'm 41, gonna be 42 this year. So like over half my life, ZBrush has been around, which is insane, because I only found ZBrush 10, 11 years ago now. It's insane. Anyway, so that being said, there's a lot of things we want to make sure we did right. And so ZModeler was one of those that needed extra time, but we're so excited to push it out for you guys. Okay. Okay, we're going to close this up just a little bit. All right, that should be pretty cool. We could do, like I said, like a couple like odd ones there, which is totally cool. All right, so remember, like I said, I am somebody who likes to do things a little bit differently. So I'm going to go ahead and going to Control-Shift-D duplicate this this middle petal one. And actually, what's pretty cool, I wanted to show you guys. Okay, so actually, yeah. So here we're gonna go. My brain just jumped 50 thoughts at the same time. So we'll call these the outer petals. Again, my spelling sucks today. Anyway, my spelling's all over the place. We're not gonna talk about that. So now we're gonna push these out and gonna bloom these guys. Yes. All right, let's do that. Again, this is just kind of how I do things. That way I can go and focus on what's there. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm actually digging how this came out. Gonna connect those. That's important. Push these in. Bring them closer. Rotate it around. Again. There we go. Kind of getting that nice little bulbous. There we go. Now, of course, the design that I want to go for is going to be something similar to maybe this. This is kind of the idea that I like. So we're going to have one rose over here, one rose over there, some leaves in the background. Like, I really like this design. I think it's cool. But we're going to obviously make it our own. This one's kind of cool too. I do like how it's going through the actual rose itself. There's a few of those, but I think this is kind of nice. This will give us some pretty cool shadows too. So I'm kind of just taking elements from a little bit of everything. Question, is there a hotkey or tool to rotate the camera in screen space? Like in Photoshop? Oh, I see what you mean. You mean like have the whole canvas rotate and kind of like the rotate function where the whole thing moves through? No, not really, because the camera is your eyes, so you're always kind of like navigating around it. Really don't think so. But I see what you mean, yeah. But you probably, I mean, when you rotate everything, oh, that's kind of cool. Anyway, no, you're kind of just rotating the whole space as you need it at that point. Where in Photoshop, you only have a 2D section, and then you can kind of pan. Now, maybe in 2.5D, there's a little something like that, but we're in 3D mode, so we're able to navigate around it. But, yeah. I'm pretty sure. Okay, real quick. I want to do it real fast. I want to pull these down just a little bit. Again, we will focus on getting some line and such a little bit. I want to get to the dagger too. The time is okay. We've only been going for about 40 minutes, so that's not too bad. Wait, am I not understanding the question? You mean shift snap? Is that what you're... Well, you click on the canvas, then release and a drag on the canvas. Maybe I'm confused on the question. Let me just bring up Photoshop. I want to confirm that I'm understanding the question correctly. Because holding shift and then dragging or clicking, your right clicking is going to give you this snapping function, but the rotation I think you're discussing, I'll give you the visual for it. Well, I wanted to make sure I understood it correctly. Second. Here, just new file. That's fine. Photoshop, you could do this. Oh, I guess that's more of a plane snap. That's like coming up here to the cam view and just clicking that. Is that what you're referring to? Oh, I guess. Oh. Wow, I never use that function. Thanks. Sweet. Thanks, Rodolfo. I never use that function. My bad. Thanks, Rodolfo. Thanks, guys. Hey, what's up, Layla? How you doing? You're all, dude, Charlie, you're all good. The cool part is just learning something new. We learn together. That's what I like. Okay, now I'm just noodling this pedal. So because I'm noodling the pedal, that means that it's time to move on to the next phase. Because now I'm not really making any major changes. I'm kind of just like tweaking it. Although here, that's kind of cool. That kind of does the thing, right? But again, so the next phase of that, of course, is that we want one more outer layer. So Control-Shift-D, duplicate that one more time. See, that's the center. I didn't mean to do that. Outer petals, and we'll call this the outer. We'll pull this out. We're going to reduce this. I'm going to go to ZRemesh and reduce this to like 3. Just give us a more unique shape. And let's make sure we edit the one that we want. All right. There we go. Pull that in. Lift these up. Some of these kind of come down. There. Gives us a little bit of, while everything is repeating, it gives us just a little bit of asymmetrical feel, even though it's there is symmetry to it. That way it's just not repeating the same. So we're just always expanding outwards on that. Raphael, am I into traditional sculpting? Yes, absolutely. I love traditional sculpting. A lot of times I find it hard to find the time and the space more than anything else, but I love traditional sculpting. I usually use Chavant medium clay for my sculptures, just because I have a bunch of it. Okay, we'll deal with that. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this here. So we have our main rows done. We're going to have 2 of them. And then from there, we're going to turn around and now we're going to make the dagger, right? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Got to run. It's dinner time on the side of the world. Yeah, Rodolfo. Thanks, buddy. Thanks again, man. Yeah. Okay. So now let's go ahead and make the dagger. This will be fun. We're just going to go ahead and... yeah, let's go ahead and make sure that we can insert a cube. And we'll turn that off for a second. And we're going to get the cool cube. We don't like this cube. This cube is kind of funky. There's two ways. Forget the camera's not there. Two ways to get a cool cube. There is actually the Gizmo one, which is my preference, because you can actually edit your segments, which is awesome. Right? Or what you can do is you could just initialize. If you're going to go low resolution, we're going to go low resolution because we're going to make the blade. So here we're going to come down to initialize and 1 1 1 1 cube that out. Okay, I could have gone 1 2 1. No, sorry, not that way. On the X, could have gone 2 1 1 because I need a center line anyway. So I could have done that too, just so I can have my center line, because the center line is super important. Now we're making a dagger. So a dagger actually has 4 bevels, 2 edges. It's really symmetrical, and that's the blade we're going to be going for today. Will you also be stream sculpting ZBrush for iPad? Yes, absolutely. Definitely am going to be doing that in the future. I might do that next week. We'll see. What's up, Chris? You're not having fun, you're not ZBrushing. Absolutely. Cool. Yeah. Just remember, we can rotate, guys. We can do this. I'm going to beat myself up for about a week on that one. But thanks, guys. Okay, so let's get the blade itself. So we're going to make a nice kind of like, it's going to like kind of curve to a tip a little bit. It's not going to come straight down because that would be like structurally to the actual blade itself. That'd be really weak. While there are like, I would call them, you know, kind of like needle blades, this one is actually going to be a little bit more of a slight taper, and then it's going to kind of round at the edges there, because I think that'll be really, really cool. Okay, now just like I did the rose, guys, you could also edit your blades with thickness with single-sided geometry as well, and that's actually the approach I'm going to be taking, because I don't want to fight too much too quickly, right? So what we're going to do here is we're just going to, looks like we have polygroups that are like even on all sides. So I'm actually going to come up here to polygroups and group by normals. And we're just going to grab the front facing one. Okay. And then we're going to delete hidden. Same thing, modify topology and delete hidden. So, Earth, for the question you got, the Sculpt Off contest return this year. I cannot say at this time, but we are talking. Okay, so now I have something like this. Oops, wrong switch. So now I have something like this, and what I would like to do is have this again kind of like round off a little bit. So I'm going to just grab this tip here. I'm going to start to something like, actually, before we do that, let's come in here with some ZModeler action. And we're just going to insert an edge loop. Let's shrink this in a bit. So we're going to go about halfway. No, actually, let's come down a lot. Make this almost a tip. A secret that I recommend, it's not really a secret. The thing I recommend is you want this to appear sharp, but you do not want it to be sharp. You want those edge loops being kind of nice right there. So what I definitely recommend is don't take it to a true point. All right, you don't need to have a triangle here. You could just have this be cleaner geometry. It'll make your life a little bit easier. And here we're going to put an edge loop right in the middle. We're going to round this out, say something like that. I'm going to put 2 more. Something like this. And something like this. So this will be the blade shape itself. And here, we can widen this a little bit. Now, how long or short the blade is, Again, that's a little indifferent. We don't really need to worry about that at the moment, but this will be like a decent blade shape. And again, we could turn on dynamic. We can have this have some thickness to it. So then we're able to do something like that. Oh, I missed a question from you, Sheriff. My bad. What was your question, dude? I can't say if the desktop will use multi-touch gestures like on the iPad. I'm not at liberty to say. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, go ahead, Sheriff. Ask your question again. Sorry I missed it, man. Okay. Now, here's what's cool is for right now on the roses here, let's actually do something kind of neat. Okay, well, the roses are massive, right? So let's actually bulk up this blade. I'm gonna bulk this up a little bit. Stretch that out. Yeah, something like that. All right, let's get the handle going. We'll leave the rose there, actually. It's kind of cool at the moment. Let's just put this in a folder, and we'll call this the Dagger. Now let's go ahead. So this is the blade portion. Now I'm going to go ahead and insert a new cube here. And again, same thing. I'm going to come down to Initialize. And we're just going to go ahead. Hit it again. There we go. I'm going to go on the X and get that. We're going to widen that sucker out. We're going to get something that looks good. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I like to watch Forge and Fire. So I like how blades are actually made. So what's cool about that, of course, is the fact, if we come back here to this guy, we wanted to add in a Tang. We could do that. Let's turn symmetry on for a second. Actually, we could just go ahead. We could make this thick, but what we could do at this point, yeah, let's apply that for a second. We can actually come in, just made it real geometry. We can make this kind of like a through Tang. Reason why we'd want to do that is because in real blade making, you actually have the Tang that goes through the handle, and then that is actually a lot of where that support of the blade is. So you're not going to get any type of breaking. So you could add a Tang to that if you wanted to, just to get a rough size, what the handle should be, depending on the dagger. So you could do something like that just to get an idea of it. So when we add in our handle, so this is the hilt. And then we need, going to insert a cylinder. Oh, is Sheriff still here? What was the question? I want to make sure I didn't miss it. Probably got lost in my brain dead affairs. Had a hard time modeling a collar for a shirt, so I made it separate subtool for the collar, the sleeves full, doing industry standard measurement. Is this method okay? Oh, okay. There you go. I see your question, Sheriff. Apologies for missing that earlier. So is that okay? Well, it depends on the approach. I mean, at the end of the day, like what I always say is check with your team on approaches like that because it depends on how the riggers want to rig the shirt. If it's all going to be like if the collar itself is going to be floating and not floating, but if it's going to get animated, if it's going to have its own bones and things are going to be moving, I would check with the rigging team, the animation team, and just kind of see what's going on with that. I tend to personally make the collar a little bit separate, and then I just kind of weld it on. I don't usually have them welded unless it just looked cool when I did that. So it's up to you a little bit in that. But again, I'm a person who checks with the team to make sure that it is okay, because there are times in which the team might be like, no, don't worry about it, but how you build it is how you build it. You can build it separate, then you can weld it together. Again, but if the collar is not moving, it doesn't really matter how you build it, because you can retopo the whole shirt. And then even let's say the collar's separate, then the shirt, and then let's say the sleeves are separate, right? And then you retopo over everything. So you retopo the collar, the shirt, and the sleeve, and you make that one uniform mesh. And then when you bake it, you just get those depths. So there's a few ways to approach that. Just all depends on what you want to do. It was cool seeing Paul's stream the other day. Yeah. The difference between dart stroke and freehand stroke. So the difference is the setting. I know you're not really going to see a whole lot of a difference between them, but it is literally the difference between dot and freehand is going to come down to your stroke settings. And if you don't know, you can modify any one of these over here at any point in time. It's also the alpha that's being, sorry, yeah. So it's just the modifier difference between the two. So, and you can start to notice the brush imperfections. You could change that a little bit. Let me see if I can give you an example, but just subdivide for a little bit. It's just literally settings. Like, yeah, if I do this and then I do this, you're not really going to see a whole lot of difference. But what's cool is like on the roll distance, if you turn on roll, you can get some really cool effects, and you can start seeing some different spacing. You can also do brush imperfection, which will give you some difference. So you can start seeing different parts of the strokes. Each of the stroke type modifiers could be over here. It's just the difference in settings is pretty much it. It's not as drastic of a difference as, let's say, drag, rack, or spray, because obviously then spray, it's spraying a lot of that stuff. But what you do is when you come over here to stroke, that's a huge one. Come over to stroke, and then underneath, as you open up each and every one of these, you're going to see on the right-hand side here, under your modifiers, you'll see like, oh, drag rec. Now it's a scale issue. Come over here, it's scale, color, placement, and flow, spray. But there's not a whole lot of difference between these two. It's just when you start modifying them, you can actually get a little bit of a difference. Also, too, there is a bunch of settings underneath each one of these, which you could be accessed right here on the strokes. So you can see that the different ones here are just modified. This menu exists under the actual stroke type. So the only difference is just literal settings. McBobbles, take a nap. You've earned it. Okay, so let's make this handle now. So here, I'm going to do myself a favor. We could drop that off. We can come through and we can geometry. And we're going to come to edge loop and delete loops. That's going to delete all the non-supporting edge loops. And we're going to scale this up here. Something that looks kind of cool. I'm going to use it. Okay, now here's something to note. Handles are not round on knives. They are just not. So from there, it will actually, you want them to be a little bit more oval shaped. handles are not round. If handles are round, they roll as you swing, and when you do that, then that's actually going to cause a little bit of an issue. So you want your handle to actually have a little bit of kind of a oval shape to it. So we're going to squish that a little bit. Also, there's usually a little bit of bowing in the center, but so we can achieve that by, again, ZModeler. Come over here, insert multiple edge loops, and we can give it a little bit of a swell. And actually, we want a swell to be uniform, so we will swell that up like that. What am I making? Great question, the Wild Noodlers. So what I'm making, actually, and we'll bring it on over. So I'm actually sculpting this kind of tattoo design for this Rose and Dagger. Pretty cool. I've actually had interest lately of learning how to use or learning tattooing just in general. Nice little fun hobby of mine that I'm picking up. We all need hobbies. And so I'm trying to find new creative ways for my artistry to come in. And so I really like that design. And now I'm halfway decent at 2D drawing, but my brain really does think in 3D. So because of that, I'm actually like, oh, let's make a design similar to that in ZBrush. I think it'd be pretty cool. So yeah, swell that up a little bit. Then we'll bring this down. There we go. Thank you. So let's bring that down here. Let's come in here. We're going to turn on symmetry. We're going to make this nice little shape right here. And these kind of taper off like such. We can decide if we want to curl that, which we could do. We could. That's a little sword-like. We'll get into the details later, but for now, yeah, that could be pretty neat. Okay. And actually, what we could do as well here, let's insert not multiple edge loops now. I want to place this here. Kind of give that a nice little flat spot. Come in and maybe drop this down. Say something like that. I think that could look pretty cool. Do I find is there a tattoo shader in ZBrush? Oh yeah, I saw two questions at the same time. Is there a tattoo shader in ZBrush? So there's not a tattoo shader in ZBrush, but there are BPR filters, right? So we could actually come in and use these here in my render. And then I can use that for a stencil of some kind. So while there isn't quote tattoo shaders, there are different ways to get a kind of line art, so to speak. And actually, it's cool. I don't remember exactly who, but Paul and I were talking about it. And there are some artists who actually, a while ago, I think they worked with Kat Von D, but they had to use ZBrush for tattoos. And I was just like, at the end of the day, I just need a render of something that I can then do. So, you know. There we go. That's a little bit more of a realistic handle right there. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. Now with this here, what I could do actually, what I could do here is multiple edge loops, and I could have an interactive elevation. give me a little bit more swelling like this all at the same time. That'll be good. But I don't want this to be clipping down here, i.e. like I don't want this to have this kind of weird fall off like that. I want that to be pretty sharp. So we're just gonna come in, add some supporting edge loops like such. So that. So then now those supporting edge loops will give me a nice soft fall off. And that's going to be a lot better. Actually here, I'm going to bring this up like this. Then I'm actually going to use the clip curve. Wrong way. Shadow side, just to keep that nice and straight. There we go. Did I just scroll for more edge loops? I did. Here, real quick, Kat, I saw your question. I kind of flipped. Yeah, I'll show you the scroll here in a second, Wild. Do you find that you can't draw in 2D anymore? I'm finding that I rely too much on CAD. Actually, that's a great question. Hold on. Okay, so to answer your question, we'll go full screen. We'll go full screen for this. All right. So to answer your question, I do find it a little interesting, a little challenging. So reason why I went full screen, I've been taking some tutorials online, made like a little berry, and then made this like little mushroom, which is pretty cool. But I was following some tutorials, and then I made this koi fish. It's a little hard to see. There you go. So I find it a little challenging, but at the same time, what's interesting about this is the fact that I know primitive blockout shapes, and because I know the primitive blockout shapes, I actually find it a little easier to approach drawing, but I'm nowhere near as good as I used to be. So I do want to get better, but I do think in 3D a lot. And so I think it's definitely going to be like, you know, it's going to take some time to get used to sketching again. I was never a concept artist. I wasn't really good at creating on the fly. But I was an artist that could see and draw from reference. So because of that, that's something that I definitely leaned into when I did used to draw, which makes 3D for me a little bit easier. But yeah, but I find it a little challenging, but I'm embracing the challenge. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so here, noodles. Okay. So check this out. So I just controlled Z. So with ZModeler, if I hover over an edge and I go to multiple edge loops, specified elevation is the first, pardon me, is the first selection that allows me to just add in, literally just click and drag on the screen, and that'll give me a ton of edge loops. Oh, I'm gonna need some water here. 1 second. All right. Now, if I do interactive elevation, as I drag down, I get more edge loops. As I rotate out to the side, I get more of a bevel, or I get more of like a bloom. And then that is supported by how many edge loops I have. So I can have a ton and have a lot of dimension. I can even go in like this. So I could do something like that, which actually kind of looks cool. I don't really know if daggers have that kind of shape. That's kind of cool. You know, it's our world. We can do what we want. I think going back and forth between 2D and 3D makes both ways better, in my humble opinion. Plus, there's quick sketch in ZBrush. There is quick sketch in ZBrush. Yeah, I actually agree. I do think they work off of each other really well. Yeah, A-Cube is amazing. And for those of you who don't know who she is, Ashley Adams, aka A-Cube, go check her out. She streams on Wednesdays as well. Not every Wednesday. She's a working artist, but she sculpts, she draws, she concepts, she does so much. She's amazing. Her artwork is really beautiful. So yeah, so with that, because drawing and sculpting have the same mentality. You got to start with a primitive shape, then you got to refine it, and then you have to detail it. You got to shade it. You got to highlight it. You have to have perspective. You have to have depth. You have to have all these things that end up making it look like what it is. The difference between 2D and 3D is 2D, you only get one side of it. 3D, you get all sides of it. So lean into your strengths a little bit. I'm trying to actually end up being a little bit of a better artist. Actually, the book holding up this camera, I was a huge manga artist. Not artist. I was a huge manga, fan. So I picked this book up to help me with a lot of that. But yeah, so I mean, start with where you at. I used to love drawing anime and stuff like that. If you go on my fun fact, if you go on my Instagram and you scroll down far enough, you'll see some of my artworks. And what's cool about that is, again, like, I used to just draw what I saw, and it's really fun. It's just, for me personally, I use drawing as kind of an escape from my childhood and things that I did. We're gonna get a little personal here. Hope you guys don't mind. So I actually used drawing to escape from a not so nice childhood. So because of that, drawing as an adult became very difficult to do. And so I was just always kind of like, I don't really know, blah, 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 blah. So at the end of the day, getting back to it, it was easy to get in 3D because it was very different from what I'm used to. But in oops, hit the wrong button. So because of that, yeah, 3D was a little bit easier. I could still create, but it didn't bring up the same feelings. So I was able to really just kind of enjoy myself a lot better. Now, because I want to get into tattooing for fun and just kind of like, learn something new, but still be creative, I can go ahead and use my skill set that I know in 3D to kind of get me started where I want to be, and then I can refine that over time. Okay. So now here, we're going to show you guys a really cool trick. We're going to come in here, we're going to go to our polygroups, and then we're going to do our group by normals, and check this out. I'm going to go ahead and hover over this polygroup, Q mesh, all of the polygroups. And as I drag this out, I'm going to press Control, and that's going to pull out that separate piece. And I'm going to tap Alt to give me a different polygroup. And that's going to give me this shape right here. And this is going to be used for the actual pommel. It's going to be used for the pommel. So we're going to go ahead and say split hidden. And then we're going to go ahead and call this Don't judge me. Okay. We got it. And let's get some thickness real quick. We'll make this pretty cool pommel. It'll have that same kind of shape. And I'm going to show you guys what's really cool too is, now that I have some thickness to this, I'm going to mask off the bottom part. I'm going to control drag. Give me something like this. Right? And then we just learned multiple edge loops. Something like that. And let's do single. Give us some nice geometry here. Again, supporting edge loops is our friend because we can get some pretty good shapes. There we go. I have something like that if we wanted. Let's see here. Earth, yes. Sorry. If two subtools have multiple intersection areas, can we specify when union Boolean which intersection can get welded? I know it's a complex thing, but would be a great feature. Ooh, okay. Well, let me ask you this. Let's do an example here real quick. Let me go ahead and save. It's been a little bit. Make Polymesh 3D. Okay. Well, when we Boolean something together, if we put this guy in a folder, then I'm going to insert this sphere. So where these two edges intersect of multiple intersections, we specify. Okay, bear with me here on this one because I want to make sure I get this right. Okay, so wherever they're touching, wherever that intersection is going to be, obviously that is going to be where that connection is going to lie. So the control you have is like, well, I want to make sure that this edge intersects to this part here. So these two subtools are now touching, so I know that these 2 points are going to connect on this portion. So when you Boolean this together, whether you cut it or whether you just weld it together, that is the point in which you want that intersection to be. So, I mean, and so my question to you is this what you mean? Or are you talking about like you would like to have it at a different point? Kind of want to make sure I follow your question correctly. Like the specification is the placement. Me, A-Cube, and Shane should do a group stream. I need my crew back. You know what? I like the way you think, buddy. I like the way you think. Anyway, so we hear something while you're if you're still here. So that's the proper. That's the, like, again, the quote, the proper one. But here's something I'm going to call out too, and this might help as well. The amount of polys you have. So for example, let's union this one together. Turn that back on. Boolean that for a second. Oh, I have solo turned on. Come through, Boolean that. Okay. You see here the difference between how small these quads are and how big these are. For every one of these quads, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need 8 additional stitches to attach one of these quads to here. So I think a lot of times too, where there is a little bit of confusion with the welding is that you're not always getting a clean result because the amount of, like, the quads variety can cause conflict. So if I were to subdivide this one and then delete it, these are now a lot more even to this. Not so much. So if I did it again, now these are a lot more even to themselves. Let's do one better. Let's take this. I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm actually going to do a cut. I'm going to cut this way. Let's turn live Boolean on. So now I have this cut with a sharp edge here. So now if I Boolean this, you can see the stitching here is just the 2 per square. So that's going to give us a lot cleaner of a stitch. And then the poly groups are going to give us a lot different, a lot better of a intersection too. So if I were to end up just coming through and ZRemeshing this, I'm going to come in here and say, maybe go 3 targets, keep my groups, adaptive size down to 0. Just with that alone, I can get a lot cleaner geometry in that stitch. And this is just a lot smoother as a whole. So the approach, hopefully I'm understanding this correctly. Yeah, so there are multiple intersections between the subtools, but you want only one or a few intersections, which you can specify get welded. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Will child parent that? Let me see something real quick. I see what you're saying now. Okay. So you would want, let's say, these 2 not to get welded. You would like this one not to get welded to this one, but you would like this one to get welded to that one. If I'm understanding that correctly. I think I see what you're saying now. And if that's the case, then yeah. I don't think there is a setting for that. Let me just play for a second. Oh, there you go. There is a setting for that. Boom. So the setting actually is in the child parent. There it is. Okay. So the child parent is what's going to cause that. So child parent are these arrows right here. This is old school. Before folders even existed, each subtool has an ability to become a parent of everything underneath. So if I want to cut these 2 and not weld it to this, what you need to do is just click this little start icon. Might be a little hard to see, but there's a little arrow right there. Click that guy, and then that says start. If only one has the start function, then that is actually going to go ahead and say everything under here needs to interact with each other. But in this case, you're saying, hey, I actually want to take this sphere and cut it with this sphere, but I don't want to weld this together. So in doing so, now when I go ahead and say Boolean this, it's going to spit this out as a separate subtool, and it's going to spit this one out as the cut tool, and they're not welded together. If you wanted to then bring them together, you could actually merge down and do that, and then they're not welded. So from here, you could obviously just say merge down. And now this is just going to go ahead and just do our poly groups, auto groups. Now you have this one separate from this one. That would be the, if I understand your question correctly, that is what I would actually do. So again, that just comes down to the child-parent relationship, which has been there for a very long time. But that's all you need to do. Just tell it where to start and where to stop. And from here, you're saying start just the one swivel by itself. Here, start this one, and everything else underneath that will become joined. Hopefully that helps. Absolutely, yeah. Great question on that. And thank you for clarifying. Sometimes it takes me a minute to make sure that I actually am following. So thank you for bearing with me. Okay. Okay, cool. So for here, what do we got? We only have about a half hour left. Totally fine. So here now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in. Let me see something real fast. I want to merge these together. Oh, okay. So what we're going to do now, we're going to save this. So I want to come through and place, I want to now place my flowers, right? So we're going to come in and just say array mesh. We're going to go ahead and make this mesh. Make this a mesh. And make that all mesh. And make this a mesh. Again, I kept these separate just because that's just the way I would like to do that. Then I'm going to merge these together. So now all of those are merged together. And this one right here. And now what I can do is come over here and get my thickness just so that I can see what's going on, because we're still on single-sided geometry. But now we get to go polygroups and auto groups. There we go. Now we can place our flower where we want it to be. So I'm just going to rotate this 90 degrees. We're going to kind of place this here like that. I'm going to Control-Shift-D. So I can have a different placement. There you go. That was the design I liked. Say something like that. Maybe this one's a little bit bigger. Something like that. We can kind of mess with the shape of things as we need to. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. That's coming out pretty decent. Go ahead and save that. Right, this is definitely cool, but let's say one of the subtools has a complex shape and is intersecting at multiple places. So I'm guessing it won't be possible to specify which portion of that. No, it wouldn't be possible to specify a specific portion of that subtool. You would want one subtool, like you can't have one subtool being a cutter of another one, but then only cut this section here. You'd have to actually make that subtool. You would have to have a separate subtool for each cut or each section of that. So yeah, that might be, yeah, if I'm understanding right, then yeah, that's not going to work out in that way. But knowing that there is a way, yeah, maybe that there's a, but knowing that you can use different subtools to then position where you want them to be. It's like working within the constraints of what you actually have at your hand, knowing that you can have different subtools get pointed to something that you need to have cut specifically, but then other subtools that are there, you know, just leaving them out would actually be ideal. You know what I mean? So going back to that initial example here, setting this up, you can get really crazy with your stuff. You can have these things cut, these things union, these things weld, these things be left alone. With this setup right here, there's a lot you can do with that. So I'd be really curious to see exactly what you're trying to achieve, because it sounds like there's a very specific thing you're looking for, and it would be interesting to see what that actually is. So there is a ZBrush Discord if you're a part of that. There's also, you know, I also have a Discord as well. You could throw it in there. It'd be really cool to kind of see like what it is you're attempting. Let's see. I'll get you a link to my Discord if you would. Why am I doing that? I just have Discord right here. That would be kind of cool. But it sounds like there's a very specific thing you're looking for. So just be kind of curious. But if you'd like to show me, then you can drop it right here. Who will the sword be for? So actually, what I'm doing is actually a tattoo design at the moment. So I saw this tattoo design, and I'm actually really in love with that kind of design. But also, too, I see that there's a few other things that are pretty cool. So how I want to detail the dagger, I'm still kind of up in arms about, kind of mixing and matching. But I really like this kind of design. So I'm just coming through and making my own version of this which has been done a bunch of times. And I just kind of like it. I think it's pretty cool. And then once we get some sort of stencil and I actually like learn how to use the machine that I bought, we'll see if we can actually replicate it on some fake skin. I think that'd be pretty cool. So hit in copy button. What did it post? But anyway. Oh yeah, that'd be pretty cool, yeah. Tell me you're a Guns N' Roses fan without telling me you're a Guns N' Roses fan. There's that too, my friend. There is that too, yeah. So yeah. Right now we're kind of going with the dual, the two ones and stuff like that. So, but okay. This being said, here, how much time? We only have a few more minutes on this, which is pretty cool. But I am digging this. So let's come back into the Dagger for a second, and let's also add in a couple small little things just to get. We're gonna start layering now, which is the fun part about any sculpture work. Really any artwork whatsoever, not panel loops. That's not what I wanted to do. Delete loops. There we go. Also, I want some cleaner topology on this guy right here. So real quick, I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to come ahead and we're going to go into our transform and we're going to turn on our Z and X symmetry here. Then we're going to come here to ZModeler. Sorry, not ZModeler. We're going to come down here to group by normals. We're going to go to ZRemesher. Call this not 12, just 1. Keep those groups. Want to detect these edges and adaptive size turned on because these edges are important. I'm going to ZRemesh this. Just get some cleaner topology. There we go. And then now I can come through here and delete loops and then have a little bit better topology reading on this. Scale this down. There we go. Something like that, which is pretty cool. Go. Also gonna, maybe I want to pull this down a little bit, give it some fun design. I'm gonna pull this up a little bit. Give it a little bit of a little spot right there. I'm just kind of designing. No, I don't like that. Let me see something real quick. Maybe we can add some beveling. So we could actually, with our trying to think here how I want to do this. Yeah, we can crease our poly groups, and maybe we can add a bevel. That could work, actually. That could work. So we can take creasing and do... Get rid of that creasing there. Maybe just completely get rid of that creasing. It's kind of cool. I'm not super in love with it, but also I don't hate it. Maybe here. Ooh, you know what? Maybe we'll just push this out. Gonna get a little bit of a design here. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Okay, I think I'm digging that. Here, let's do partial. Here and here. So here, here, and then, okay, and then, because I want this to kind of have a sharpness, but again, I want it to bevel a little bit. We'll add in some supporting edge loops so it rounds a bit. So actually, let's come over here to crease. Going on a tangent, don't mind me. We're going to delete this crease here and here. We're going to use supporting edge loops instead. Give us a little bit of a natural fall off. There you go. So now when I subdivide this, yeah, that's cool. I dig that. That's cool. I like that. Okay, but we need this to be supported as well. We need to make sure that we come in here and give us a little bit. If we want this to be truly even, right, we can come over here to our, nope, not there. Modified topology, mirror and weld, and just do this on the Z. So that way it's nice and even all the way across. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like that. That's fun. Yeah, that's a lot cooler. Let's save it. Yo, what's up, Raph? Loving the roast, dude. Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, we only got a few more minutes. Actually, that dagger's coming in pretty cool, so I am digging that. Okay. At this point now, so we have this nice kind of let's go ahead and give us some actual thickness here. Just Q mesh this. Say something like that. Yeah, this should be fine. Now let's come in here real quick. We're going to solo this. We're going to use ZModeler to give us a masking. get a kind of paper right there. Oh, what are we doing? Oh, hold on a second. Just come in here. We'll just insert this down there. Great. Come in and let's do our transform. Let's do our Z depth. And then let's do edge actions, masking. Go. Oh. Oop, I'm getting a collision. Okay. I see what's happening here. Ooh, you know what I want actually? I think I want a fuller. Fuller. I think that's what I'm gonna want to do. Get this kind of thin. Okay. And we're just gonna hold shift. Kind of give us a little bit of blade thickness right here. We're gonna want to go ahead and actually bring this to a point. Do something like that. A little bit of a manual transition here. There we go. Kind of just letting that do its thing. Okay. And here, I'm just going to turn off symmetry for a second. I want a fuller on this, so I'm going to inset. Say something like this to give me a little bit of... Ooh, actually, nope, never mind. I want a full center fuller. So we'll do this instead. Okay. Yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be cool. ZRemesh. Turn on dynamic, but we'll get rid of that thickness. Need to have that smooth. Ooh, broke it. Set. Little trick with the inset. We'll actually come on down here. Something like that. It's not a super thick blade, right? So we want to make sure that we actually give us a little bit. We don't want a hole because everything is even. We could actually literally pop a hole. We don't want that. So we just want to come in a little bit. No thickness. 2. That'll give us a little bit of love right there. And then we can actually use our poly groups to our advantage here. Give us a little bit of a sharp edge. Actually, real quick, before we do that, Gonna mask off this corner right here. Kind of do something like this. I also want to give this some topology. So I want to insert custom edge loop here. Here. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's giving me a little bit of what I'm looking for. Inset. Right there. A little bit of TLC. Okay. Now the only thing right here is that we're losing a little bit of edge loop support up here at the top. So we want to make sure that we could just do creased edges at this point. I think this will be pretty cool. So let's see something real quick. Yeah, that should be fine. This, and then we'll do our crease and crease polygroups. Yeah. What we could do here, of course, we can make this a little bit longer. Hey, okay, sorry. I went into the zone for a little bit. Oh yeah, that'd be ideal. Yeah, what's up, bro? Hey, ZModeler, what's up, Shiny Armor? Anybody know what happened to ZBrush Summits? So, Rich, we're actually in discussion for ZBrush Summits at the moment. If we have an announcement, we will announce it as soon as we can. So, last year we didn't have one because, unfortunately, a lot of things occurred, i.e., we actually had a massive move, not just like the old ZBrush building, but also we actually had Noman had moved as well, so a lot of things got changed up, and so yeah, unfortunately, we weren't really able to have the summits in the same exact way as we used to. But we'll be able to have further discussions on that once we have more to talk about for this year. Okay, so now I'm going to give this some resolution. That stops falling up short like that. Same thing down here, because I have very low resolution at the moment. Go. And then we'll give this blade some actual multiple loops, just so it holds its shape. There we go. And we could too, because sharp edges don't exist in the world in the same way like they do. I mean, but sharp edges are not good. Everything has a bevel because you don't want to cut yourself, right? So we could actually go to our crease edges. When we do a real subdivision, we can actually get a little bit of a fall off to the crease edges by having that set on creased level 2. So that is one way to do it. Again, here, we can come down here to the bottom. We can work with having a little bit more of a point here. Make sure, again, ideal we was having nice clean topology. We can have that a little bit more like that. That'll look a lot nicer. All right. We got most of the way done in the 2-hour time slot, which is pretty good. Let's actually do... We're going to use our move topological, kind of pull some of these areas in. Now we can mess with each one of these separate. We can have some these kind of come in, make these a variety. We have a whole lot of things we can do, thankfully. So we can really play with this as needed to make them look a little different. But not too bad for a concept. I'm digging it. There's some stuff I want to do to make this a lot a lot cooler. But for right now, I am digging it. I think it's pretty cool. Again, we can give this a little bit more thickness just for the sake of it. We can also, that's cool. Actually, I like that. Cool. So yeah, so there it is. There's the idea on paper, or in this case on clay. We can add like a fluted thing at the top if we wanted to. But we got everything here that we were kind of setting out to do. So this isn't too bad. So again, we can break up this design a little bit, make it what we need it to. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. You're gonna need to get some leaves and stuff. Maybe we can get the stems coming and wrapping around it, maybe with some thorns. That could be pretty cool. Yeah. So anyway, hey, what's up, my magic? Welcome. What's the best way to learn ZModeler? Any courses or anything? That's a great question. So if you we have so much resources. So if you go to YouTube and real quick, make sure nothing shows up that's not supposed to show up. Go to YouTube and then you just go to our Maxon ZBrush. Right, we have there we go. So you actually have like a ton of playlists that you can learn a ton of things on. Obviously, you can come here and ask me questions, but you can come over here. We have playlists for a ton of videos. We're going to be bringing back Ask ZBrush. But again, we have a whole Getting Started series right here. Anna Carolina put this together actually a couple years ago now. So I could push this up in there. But yeah, you can go ahead and you can follow along with this because there's a ton of different videos in there. And then also too, we have, which is called Ask ZBrush. We have playlists for this. A lot of these videos, there are some all of them are still relevant to this day, but there's a ton of videos and stuff in there as well. Z Classroom has not been removed. Great question. So if you go to maxon.net and you come over here to learn, you just have Z Classroom. And then there's also a ton of resources in here. You can follow along. You can find beginner courses. You can follow along with a ton of this stuff. So you got beginner, intermediate, and advanced courses that you can come through. So getting started, texturing, posing, all that good stuff. In fact, too, if you search ZModeler, there you go. So you have some ZModeler basics and stuff that you can do. So you can actually come in that as well. So tons of resources, and all of this is free. You don't pay for a single thing on all this stuff. So yeah. Anyway, that is going to be it for the day. So not too shabby, actually. Pretty dug it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Want to do more of this. And absolutely, like I said, I want to try some new things with my art. And I think one of the cool ways of doing that is creating sculptural detailing into, something that could be done as a 2D render, maybe possibly done on, the canvas, a human canvas, aka tattooing. So little passions and things I want to do. And you already know how to create beautiful artwork, just merge the two together, man. But anyway, that is going to be it for the day. Guys, thank you so much for everything. Take care, and I will be streaming next Wednesday, same time. And then I'll be traveling for a little bit, but we will have some live streams coming. So definitely check those out when they're coming up. And then if you're going to be at GDC, absolutely let me know, because Maxon's going to have a booth at GDC. I will be there. You can stop by, ask questions, all that other good stuff. So, all right. Without further ado, guys, enjoy.